Marta, be realistic. You've been living here for free for 3 years. It is time to move on so people who actually have a future can use this space. My brother Mateo said this while scrolling through his phone, not even bothering to look at the hospital bed we had just moved out of the living room 2 days ago. My father's scent, that mix of antiseptic and old peppermint, was still hanging in the air. I stood there, my hands shaking so hard I had to shove them into the pockets of my oversized cardigan. My throat felt like I'd swallowed glass. I hadn't slept more than 4 hours a night since 2022. I was the one who changed the 4 bags. I was the one who handled the grueling probate court calls while Mateo was finding himself in Bali. Move on? I managed to whisper. Mateo, Dad died 72 hours ago. This is my home. I gave up my residency in Chicago to be here because you said you couldn't handle the emotional toll. Then, the front door swung open. Claudia walked in. She didn't offer a hug. She didn't even say sorry for my loss. She held up her phone, filming the high ceilings of our family home for an Instagram story. Oh my God, babe, she chirped, ignoring me entirely. If we knock down this wall, the natural light for the get-ready photos will be insane. We can do the rehearsal dinner right here in the foyer. I looked at Mateo. What is she talking about? Mateo finally looked up. He had that smug, I've already won look that only a narcissistic golden child can master. The thing is, Marta, Dad changed the trust fund structure 6 months ago. The house? It's mine. The liquid assets? Mine. He realized that since I'm the one carrying on the Garcia name, I needed the resources. The room started to spin. A sharp ringing started in my ears, drowning out Claudia's voice as she started talking about boho chic floor tiles. I knew my father. He was a man of equity. He would never, unless, show me the paperwork, I said. My voice was suddenly cold. The shaking in my hands stopped. It's funny how total betrayal can sometimes act like a shot of adrenaline. It's all legal, sis. Don't make this weird, Mateo said, tossing a manila envelope onto the coffee table. We've already filed the deed transfer. Claudia and I are getting married in 6 weeks. We need the house for the content. You can stay at a motel or something. I'll Venmo you $1,000 to get started. Consider it a caregiver bonus. A caregiver bonus. For 3 years of my life. For the career I stalled. For the nights I spent crying in the hallway so Dad wouldn't hear me. I opened the envelope. I saw the signature. It looked like my father's, but the date was from the week he was on heavy doses of morphine. The week Mateo insisted on spending some private time with him. Wait. Let me backtrack. Mateo thinks he's smart because he has 50,000 followers and a leased Mercedes. He thinks because I've been wearing scrubs and smelling like disinfectant for years, I've lost my edge. What he forgot is that before I came home to nurse our father, I wasn't just a medical student. I worked in forensic auditing to pay for my undergrad. I know what a forced signature looks like. And more importantly, I know exactly where my father kept his real private ledger. Fine, I said, tucking the envelope under my arm. Wait, you're not going to fight us? Claudia asked, looking disappointed that she didn't get a dramatic reaction for her followers. No, I lied, a small dark smile tugging at the corner of my mouth. I'm tired, Mateo. You want the house? You want the Garcia legacy? It's yours. I'll be out by Sunday. I walked upstairs to my room. I didn't pack my clothes first. I went straight to the floorboard under my desk. I pulled out the small encrypted external drive Dad had given me a month before he lost the ability to speak. He had whispered one thing into my ear, in case Mateo's debts come looking for him. I plugged it in. My eyes scanned the files. It wasn't just a trust fund. It was a web of offshore accounts, unpaid taxes from Mateo's consulting firm, and a very interesting LLC paperwork trail that showed Mateo had been skimming money from Dada's accounts for years to fund Claudia's influencer lifestyle. They wanted a wedding. They wanted a show. Oh, I was going to give them a show. But it wasn't going to be on Instagram. It was going to be in front of the IRS and the entire Garcia social circle. Sunday morning, I left. I didn't take much. Just my laptop, Dad's ledger, and the realization that being the good daughter was over. The revenge of the caregiver was just beginning. I spent the first 3 nights in a cramped 2-star motel on the edge of town. The air smelled like stale cigarettes and lemon-scented floor cleaner, but honestly, it was the most peaceful I had felt in years. No hospital monitors beeping. No Mateo yelling at me for cluttering the kitchen with Dad's medicine. Just me, my laptop, and a very, very angry spreadsheet. I mean, the thing about people like Mateo is they think they're invisible. He has spent so long curating this self-made mogul image on Instagram that he actually started believing his own lies. But the numbers don't lie. I sat there, my eyes burning from the blue light of the screen, tracing the money. It was worse than I thought. Mateo hadn't just borrowed money from Dad's accounts. He had committed full-scale identity theft. While I was holding Dad's hand during his chemo sessions, Mateo was using Dad's social security number to open high-interest lines of credit. He was using our family home, a house Dad had paid off 20 years ago, as collateral for a business expansion loan for a company that didn't even have a physical office. "You idiot," I whispered to the empty room. My voice sounded raspy, like I'd been screaming, even though I hadn't said a word in hours. Then my phone buzzed. A notification from TikTok. Claudia Glows has just posted a new video. I shouldn't have clicked it. I knew it would make my blood boil. But I had to see. The video started with an upbeat, trendy song. Claudia was standing in my old bedroom, the one I lived in while taking care of Dad. They had already ripped up the carpet. "Hey guys! Quick update on the #Garcia estate renovation," she chirped, spinning around with a Starbucks cup in her hand. "We're purging all the old energy today. Out with the dusty past, in with the modern luxury. We're turning the sad guest room into my new content studio. Can you believe someone actually lived like this? Total vibes killer." She then pointed the camera at a pile of trash bags in the driveway. One of them was torn. I could see the corner of Dad's favorite quilt, the one his mother had made him. I felt a cold, sharp spike of adrenaline hit my chest. My stomach did a somersault. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was a calculated, freezing rage. I waited. I let the anger settle until it turned into a tool. I realized something right then. Mateo and Claudia weren't just greedy. They were desperate. They needed the wedding to happen. They needed the Garcia legacy image to secure a massive partnership deal. Claudia was chasing with a luxury bridal brand. If that deal didn't go through, the house of cards would collapse. "Wait, let me backtrack," I muttered to myself, typing furiously. I looked at the offshore account details Dad had hidden. He wasn't just tracking Mateo's debts. He had been documenting the source of the money Mateo was using to pay the interest. It wasn't consulting. It was a classic Ponzi-style setup involving crypto investments. From our local community, mostly elderly neighbors who trusted the Garcia name, Mateo wasn't just a thief. He was a predator. I spent the next 48 hours doing what I do best: forensic auditing. I didn't call a lawyer. Not yet. I knew how the probate court worked. It would take months, and Mateo would have sold the house by then. I needed something faster. Something surgical. First, I sent an anonymous tip to the IC3, Internet Crime Complaint Center, regarding the unauthorized access to my father's 401k. I attached the IP logs from the house. Logs that showed the login happened from Mateo's MacBook while I was at the hospital with Dad. Next, I turned my attention to the big day. The wedding was scheduled for June 15th. They had invited everyone. The mayor, the local business elite, Claudia's 500,000 followers. They wanted a show? Fine. I contacted the luxury bridal brand Claudia was so desperate to sign with. I didn't tell them I was the disgruntled sister. No. I reached out as a concerned representative of the Garcia estate legal team. I sent them a very brief, very professional letter. Regarding the upcoming partnership with Claudia Lopez, please be advised that the property being used as the primary filming location, the Garcia estate, is currently under investigation for title fraud and is subject to a pending lis pendens notice. Any commercial use of the property may result in legal complications for your brand. I hit send. My heart was thumping against my ribs like a trapped bird. 102, 103.104. I counted the beats. But I wasn't done. The thing is, Mateo thinks he's the only one who knows how to use social media. He forgot that I was the one who set up his business's two-factor authentication years ago. He never changed the recovery email. It was still linked to an old account of mine he thought I'd deleted. I didn't change his password. That would be too obvious. Instead, I just watched. I saw the emails coming in. The panic started on Wednesday. Urgent. Loan repayment overdue. Notification. IRS inquiry initiated regarding LLC paperwork. Message from bridal brand. We need to put the contract on hold indefinitely. I could almost hear the screaming matches happening in that house from across town. On Friday morning, I received a text from Mateo. It was the first time he'd messaged me since throwing me out. Mateo. Marta, did you do something? Claudia's deal just fell through. We're in a bit of a spot. If you're bitter about the house, we can talk about a slightly bigger payout. Just stop whatever this is. I stared at the screen. I didn't reply. I mean, honestly, the slightly bigger payout ship had sailed the moment he put Dad's quilt in a trash bag. I went to the kitchen, made myself a cup of tea, and opened the local neighborhood portal. Every single person Mateo had scammed was on there. All I had to do was drop one little link to a publicly available folder containing the ledger. The pivot was complete. Now it was time for the cold payback. The night of the rehearsal dinner arrived. It was exactly the kind of over-the-top, look-at-us event you'd expect from a couple who spent money they didn't have. The Garcia estate, my house, was glowing. They had draped fairy lights over the oak trees Dad had planted 30 years ago. There was a catering van in the driveway, and the smell of expensive sea bass and expensive wine carried over the fence. I wasn't inside, obviously. I was sitting in my car, parked 2 blocks away, watching the Ring camera feed on my phone. Yes, I still had access. Mateo was so focused on changing the locks that he forgot the entire security system was hardwired into my personal cloud server. He thought he deleted me. The thing is, Mateo never understood how technology works. He thinks it's all magic and buttons. He didn't realize that every time a guest rang that doorbell, I got a high-definition notification. And then, it started. Around 7:30 p.m., the neighborhood portal I had tipped off began to explode. I could see the comments scrolling by on my secondary screen. Wait, is that our money paying for that catering? I gave Mateo $5,000 for his logistics expansion. He hasn't answered my calls in weeks. Is that the Garcia house? I heard there's a lien on the property. I watched the screen as Mrs. Gable, our neighbor from 3 doors down, walked up the driveway. She wasn't wearing a cocktail dress. She was wearing her gardening sweater and holding a printed-out copy of the ledger I'd leaked. She didn't ring the bell. She just started pounding on the door. Thud. Thud. The sound through the Ring camera was deafening. Claudia opened the door, her hair in perfect bridal waves, a glass of champagne in her hand. She looked like she was ready for a photo shoot. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice tight with that forced, "I'm a celebrity politeness." "Where's Mateo?" Mrs. Gable didn't whisper. She barked. "I want my investment back. Now." I saw Mateo slide into the frame behind Claudia, his face going from a smug tan to a sickly pale gray. He tried to laugh it off. "Mrs. Gable!" "We're in the middle of a private event. I don't care if you're in the middle of a coronation." Another voice yelled. It was Mr. Henderson from across the street. He had joined her on the porch. Then another neighbor. And another. Suddenly, the rehearsal dinner wasn't a party anymore. It was a town hall meeting from hell. I sat in my car, my breath hitching in my chest. I thought I would feel guilty. I thought I would cry for the family name. But honestly, I felt light. I watched as the luxury bridal brand representatives, who were there to finalize the contract, started backing away toward their cars. They saw the chaos. They saw the scandal in real time. One of them was actually filming it on her phone. The irony. Claudia wanted to go viral. Well, she was going viral. Just not for her boho chic aesthetic. "Mateo, what is this?" Claudia screamed, her voice cracking as she realized the cameras were capturing her perfect night turning into a riot. "It's nothing. It's just a misunderstanding." Mateo was sweating now. I could see the damp patches on his silk shirt. Then came the final blow. A black sedan pulled up behind the catering van. Two men in suits got out. They weren't neighbors. They didn't have printed ledgers. They had badges. Mateo Garcia? One of them said, stepping onto the porch as the neighbors parted like the Red Sea. Internal Revenue Service. We have a warrant to seize business records and several electronic devices linked to Garcia Logistics LLC. The silence that followed was absolute. I saw Mateo's phone drop from his hand. It hit the porch with a dull clack. Claudia looked at the IRS agents, then at Mateo, then at the neighbors. She didn't stay to help him. She didn't even say a word. She turned around, went back inside, and slammed the door, leaving her fiancé alone on the porch with his victims and the federal government. I looked down at my own phone. A new message had appeared in the Garcia family group chat that I hadn't left yet. Mateo. Marta, please, call them off. I'll give you the house. I'll give you everything. Just tell them it was a mistake. I can't go to jail, Marta. I'm a Garcia. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. Not from fear. From disgust. I'm a Garcia. That's what he thought being a Garcia meant. It meant stealing from your dying father. It meant throwing your sister into a motel. It meant thinking you were above the law because you had a nice last name and a follower count. I didn't call him. I didn't call the agents. I just typed 3 words into the group chat and hit send. Check the quilt. I knew exactly what would happen next. Inside that trash bag in the driveway, the one Claudia had laughed at, I had hidden a small GPS-assisted voice recorder. It had been running since the day I left. It had captured every conversation they'd had about the fraud, every joke they'd made about Dad's senility, and every plan they had to sell the house and flee to Europe before the debts caught up. I put my car in gear and drove away. The golden child was about to learn that when you burn the person who built your pedestal, the only thing left to do is fall. The silence that follows a disaster is different than regular silence. It's heavy. It's thick. It's the kind of quiet that makes your ears ring because your brain is trying to process the fact that your world just ended. I sat in my motel room for 3 days after the rehearsal riot. I didn't check the news. I didn't look at social media. I just stared at the ceiling, watching the shadow of the ceiling fan spin in circles. But then, the notifications started. Not from Mateo, not from the family group chat. The notifications were from TikTok. At Claudia Glows. The truth. Why I'm leaving Mateo Garcia. I clicked it. Honestly, I shouldn't have been surprised. Claudia was sitting in front of a ring light, her eyes red, probably from a filter. Let's be real. Looking like she was auditioning for a tragic biopic. I had no idea. She sobbed into the camera. I was a victim too. Mateo lied to me about everything. He used my platform to lure in investors. I am heartbroken to find out the man I loved was a criminal. I am officially ending our engagement and moving out to focus on my healing journey. Wait, let me backtrack. She wasn't moving out. She was fleeing before the IRS could seize the designer bags Mateo bought her with stolen money. The comments section was a bloodbath. Half the people were calling her a queen for leaving, and the other half, the ones who had lost their life savings to Mateo's cryptologistics scam, were calling for her head. I didn't care about Claudia. She was a ghost. A parasite looking for a new host. I cared about the recording. I had retrieved the GPS-synced recorder from the trash bag the night of the arrest. I sat on the edge of the motel bed, my laptop open, and pressed play. The audio was grainy, filtered through the fabric of Dad's old quilt, but the words were crystal clear. She's too stupid to check the 401k, Mateo. Claudia's voice echoed in the room. Just tell her Dad was confused. Once we get the deed, we sell the house to that developer in Dallas. We can be in Tulum by July. Who cares about the neighbors? They're old. They're dying anyway. Then Mateo's laugh. That sharp, arrogant bark I'd heard my entire life. Marta will just go back to some clinic and play nurse. She's a martyr. Martyrs don't sue their brothers. My hand went to my throat. It felt like someone had tightened a wire around my neck. Martyrs don't sue, I whispered. Well, Mateo was about to learn that martyrs eventually run out of patience. I didn't post the audio on social media. I didn't want clout. I wanted justice. I sent the file directly to the district attorney and the IRS lead investigator. I also sent a copy to Mateo's defense attorney with a very simple note. This is the private time Mateo spent with Dad. If you try to claim the signature wasn't forced, I will release this to every news outlet in the state. The result was almost instantaneous. 48 hours later, Mateo's all-star legal team dropped him. You can't defend a client who has been recorded admitting to identity theft and elderly abuse while laughing about it. The thing is, the Garcia name didn't protect him. It destroyed him. Because he had scammed the very people who made that name mean something. The local community. I spent the next month in a whirlwind of LLC paperwork and probate court hearings. It was exhausting. It was KPIs and tax liens and amended returns. My brain felt like it was made of static. But then came the morning of July 22nd. I stood in front of the house. The fairy lights were gone. The Garcia estate sign had been taken down. The grass was overgrown because no one had mowed it in weeks. I turned the key in the lock. The house felt cold. It smelled like Claudia's perfume and old takeout. I walked straight to the living room, to the spot where Dad's hospital bed used to be. I sat on the floor. Just sat there in the dust and the silence. My phone buzzed. A private number. Marta? It was Mateo. He was calling from a county facility. His voice sounded thin. Broken. No more scotch. No more silk shirts. Marta, please. The bail is $50,000. If you just sell Dad's watch collection, or the car, you can get me out. I'm your brother, Marta. Family is everything. Remember what Dad said? I looked at the empty space in the room. I thought about the 3 years of my life I gave up. I thought about the quilt in the trash. I do remember, Mateo, I said. My voice was steady. Dad said, integrity is the only thing they can't take from you. You didn't just lose the money, Mateo. You lost the name. Marta, wait. Goodbye, Mateo. Don't call this number again. I've already initiated the 2-factor authentication on my life. You're not an authorized user. I hung up. I blocked the number. I walked out to the driveway, picked up the torn trash bag with the quilt, and brought it back inside. The house wasn't a legacy anymore. It was just a house. And for the first time in years, it was mine. 6 months. It is funny how much can change in 6 months when you not spending every waking second emptying bedpans or dodging a narcissist's insults. I was sitting on the back porch of the house. My house, watching the sunset hit the hills of Austin. The air was warm, smelling of jasmine and the charcoal from the neighbor's grill. No antiseptic, no stress, just peace. But before I tell you how this ends, let me backtrack to the day of the sentencing. I didn't want to go. Honestly, I thought about staying in bed and letting the lawyers handle it. But then I remembered the way Mateo had looked at me when he threw that caregiver bonus on the table. I remembered the quilt in the trash. I needed to see his face when the reality of his legacy finally hit him. The courtroom was small, but it felt like a cathedral. The air was cold, the kind of professional chill that makes you sit up straighter. Mateo sat at the defense table. He had lost weight. His expensive suit hung off his shoulders like a borrowed costume. He didn't look like a mogul anymore. He looked like a frightened little boy who had finally run out of lies. The judge didn't hold back. Mr. Garcia, she said, her voice like a gavel strike. You didn't just steal money. You stole from the vulnerable. You exploited your father's final days and your sister's sacrifice. This isn't just financial fraud. This is a moral bankruptcy that no LLC paperwork can fix. The sentence? 4 years in a federal facility, followed by 3 years of supervised release. And the restitution. Oh, the restitution was the best part. Every single cent he had skimmed, every loan he had taken out in Dad's name, it was all ordered to be paid back through the liquidation of his remaining assets. His car? Gone. His designer watch collection? Auctioned off. His consulting firm? Dissolved by the state. I watched him as they let him out in handcuffs. He tried to catch my eye one last time. He wanted a look of pity. He wanted a martyr moment. I just looked down at my phone and checked my email. I didn't give him a single second of my attention. And then there was Claudia. The thing about influencers is that they live and die by the algorithm. And the algorithm, well, it turned on her like a pack of wolves. She tried to do a rebranding as a victim of domestic financial abuse. She even tried to start a GoFundMe for her legal fees. But remember that audio I sent to the investigators? The one where she laughed about Dad being senile? It leaked. I don't know how. Maybe a disgruntled assistant. Maybe the bridal brand wanted to justify why they dropped her. But once the world heard her making fun of a dying man while planning to sell his home out from under his daughter, it was over. She wasn't canceled. She was erased. The luxury brands didn't just stop working with her. They issued statements condemning her. Her follower count dropped by 200,000 in a single weekend. The last I heard, she was working as a junior receptionist for a real estate firm in a city where no one knew her name. No ring lights. No boho chic content studio. Just 9-to-5 reality. As for me, I didn't go back to medical school. Not yet. I realized that I had a talent for finding things people tried to hide. I opened my own forensic auditing firm, Garcia Integrity Consulting. I don't work for the faces of the family. I work for the sisters, the caregivers, and the quiet ones who are being pushed out of their own lives. I spent the last 2 months restoring the house, not renovating it like Claudia wanted. Restoring it. I brought back Dad's old library. I fixed the garden. And that quilt? It's back on the armchair where it belongs. Last night, I received a letter from the county facility. It was from Mateo. He wanted to apologize. He wanted to rebuild the bridge. I didn't even open it. I walked over to the fireplace, tossed the envelope into the embers, and watched it turn to ash. People ask me if I feel bad. They say, "But Marta, he's your brother. He's all the family you have left." And I tell them the same thing every time. Family isn't about blood. It isn't about a shared last name or a trust fund. It's about who stays when the lights go out. It's about who holds your hand when you're breathing your last breath. Mateo chose the lights and the cameras. I chose the truth. I mean, the thing is, the best revenge isn't a lawsuit or a viral video. It's living a life so peaceful, so full, and so honest that the people who tried to destroy you become nothing more than a footnote in your story. I'm Marta Garcia. And for the first time in my life, I'm not just a caregiver. I'm the architect of my own future. And it looks beautiful.